priority was to get Lionel on as soon as possible. I've been watching his coverage, and I can feel the angst in many people in America right now who are seeing play unfold. In my opinion, is reminiscent of what we, heard people talking about Iraq, the justification for invading Iraq. So Lionel's going to give us his perspective. We've got the invading Iraq. So Lionel's skyline right there. His perspective.
I got to get rid of our echo for some.
Right, I've muted Lionel because I'm hearing everything play back on his microphone. While he is sorting that out, we've got on the screen right now, we've got the actual skyline of Iran, South Israel, Gaza area, Western Iran, East, South Israel facing Jordan, Haifa area. So if anything pops off, we will be able to put that on the screen. And as usual, all of Lionel's links are in the description box below this video. His channel, his ex, and his wife's channel as well. So let's.
Have you ever been? Have you been to Israel ever?
No. When I was in America, I was there as an illegal alien, and I could never leave the country. That was for almost 20 years. So I didn't really get to see much of the world. I've only really visited Europe and America and Mexico.
Well, I got to tell you something. I've been twice, and it is not what you think. If you are an historian, if you are a Christian, it is something else. As you know, when you go to a country and you meet people and they have families, they don't care about this. They're not bloodthirsty savages, just like people think about Americans and the way we are or the way the Brits are. They're just regular folks. And what's interesting also is in Israel itself, in Jerusalem, a lot of the folks there are Arabs, but they call themselves Israeli. And in fact, in the souk, where you go and you purchase various things, they have most of it is done by Arabs or run by Arabs as well. And it's a very interesting thing. For Christians, there is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, where Christ was buried, crucified. I mean, it is really something. The Via Dolorosa, where Christ walked, and it's. Let me tell you something. I am irreligious for the most part, but I felt a vibe there bouncing off from the energy of people. It's really something. So just as an aside, because we say Israel, Israel, Israel. Step number one: let's separate government from people. That's the most. I know it sounds kind of trite, but we think that everything is like there's this monolithic group of people who all want the same thing. Can you name any place that wants anything? Here in the United States, we have folks. We have a number of Jewish friends of mine who have nothing to do with Israel, because then we get into the notion of Zionism, and I don't think enough is said. But just to get going, and so that you will know my position, I am not going to ever scream. I don't know what this is about between Piers Morgan and George Galloway, everybody screaming and yelling. What is this? I don't scream. I'm very serious about what's going on. I have very strong ideas. But as you know, this is turning into professional wrestling. This is a work. This is who can make the most noise so I get the most clicks and I scream. The worst is this emphysema Kasparian with the young turds and screaming and yelling. I'm thinking, you're not going to make it to the age of 40 if you're acting this much. That's not to say that this isn't a hard situation. But just understand one thing. It's a very unique thing. Judaism and Israel, there's nothing like it. Somebody said one time that some people view Israel is to Judaism what Japan is to the Japanese. And I said, wait a minute, what? For example, you are not a Protestant country. Even during the Troubles in the well, before that, it was in a titular sense Protestant versus Catholic, but that really wasn't what it was about. You don't have. This is not about religion. It is a place called Israel that was established as, and you can get into the various definitions, but it's like nothing else. A lot of the folks who claim an affiliation are Jews from Eastern Europe. There are people who were there before that, the jus soli, or the law of the soil. They say we were first. So this, before we even get into it, who are we talking about? It's not Jewish. I heard somebody talk about the Jews. I said, no, it's not about Jews. This is Israel. Because I know people here who are Jewish in the United States who are not Zionists. I know Christian Zionists, people who believe in eschatology, the end of times. They focus on this area because this is where Christ and tribulation and Armageddon. So before we get even going, let's make sure we understand this is not about Jews. It's not about Catholics or Protestants. It's about the state, the nation state, the state of Israel, and Iran and Palestine. And even the nation of Palestine, people are suggesting there's no such thing as Palestine. They're still arguing that. So again, just so that we maybe it's a lawyer in me, before we get back to this, the nomenclature is critical. What are we even talking about? Who is who? And also, Shaun, I think I know you, my good friend, well enough to know we don't hate anybody a priori ahead of time. I don't. I have nothing against anybody by virtue of their race or their gender or their faith. It means nothing to me. And it really does. It's like whether you're left-handed, right-handed, I don't care. I don't really care about that. But let's be honest here. What are we really talking about? Just the other day, we were talking about Gaza. Remember Gaza? What about that? Anybody talk about that? Nope. That's gone. We're going to, and be very careful. When you're looking the other way, sometimes bad things can happen. Sometimes bad things can happen to people who aren't paying attention to that. So just to muddle up the works and to make this even more confusing, that's what we're looking at right now. It's specifically a very simple thing. We're looking at what is, that probably sounds better there.
There we go. Yeah, there we go. Thank goodness.
Right. What is the issue here? Another thing too is, if I could just spread out the parameters. Let me ask you this question. And I don't take this the wrong way. Not you, but other people. If there was no Israeli lobby, and we call it AIPAC here or others, but if there was not an Israeli lobby with a lot of money and a lot of power, and by the way, they have every right to lobby, just like gun rights and climate and trans folks. But if there were no lobby, do you think you would have the hardcore pro-Israel positions from a lot of people? Some people you would. Some people say this is personal. It has something to do with the lobby. But you know and I know there are some people who say, I'm making a lot of money. I will, by the way, not just in politics, but broadcasters, podcasters, streamers. This is a very lucrative position to happen to agree with. And that's the absolute truth. Not everybody, but a lot of folks. And another thing too you have to ask yourself is, does that in any way delegitimize a claim? Probably not. Probably not. But I guarantee you, I ask some people, where, and I see this, where at one point in your life did you feel this incredible affinity for Israel? Where? I've known people, and it just so happens that sometimes people feel, well, I'm a conservative and this is what I must be for. Just like there are liberals and Democrats who say, I cannot possibly be pro-Israel and maintain my bona fides among my more liberal friends. I can't be around the Max Blumenthal group or the Judge Napolitano group if I'm pro-Israel. I can't. They won't allow me. So this is kind of like a by invitation only. So let's make sure we get the parameters here. I'm not trying to suggest that these people aren't sincere, but you also know that when you become a part of a movement and your podcast numbers grow, your platform grows, and you are the voice of either Zionism, Israel, or Palestine, and you are enjoying fame and success by virtue of that affiliation, not that you don't believe in it, but you're going to crank it up even more so Because remember, when I was a kid, we didn't have this. We would have known nothing about this. We would have had the 6 o'clock news, maybe the 11 o'clock news, maybe Walter Cronkite here, maybe Time Magazine, maybe a newspaper, and that's it. So we are inundated every moment with every aspect. And then you have the Piers Morgan phenomenon where you get a bunch of people together and you start screaming at each other. Why? So his numbers go up. Does more of a disservice to anything than you can imagine, the screaming and yelling. So this is before we even start talking about the issues. This is what we're up against. This is theater. This is very serious. It's very real, but this is theater. And this is podcast and streaming gold. If you can get on this, hitch your ride to the wagon, so to speak, because this is very popular. And there are people who all of a sudden, as you know, Shaun, overnight, they're experts in Israel. Overnight, out of nowhere. And it just so happens that there's a concomitant interest and a boost in numbers, which is a reality of what we do, of this thing of ours, as we say.
So the big question, Lionel, is who the hell is in charge of U.S. military policy? Because Trump's behaving like a Roman emperor whose generals are about to run amok, pillage a country for the benefit of shadowy elites right now. And we're wondering what has happened. The peace president, now all of a sudden, people are saying we're at the most dangerous geopolitical juncture of our lifetimes.
Now, what answer would you like? Because that's another thing too.
Just your opinion, just your honest opinion.
Well, I'll tell you the truth. I am looking at this, and before I continue, there are people who will say, "I am MAGA, and I'm a MAGA, and I'm MAGA 100%," and they feel this love affair with the president. It's almost like a cult, and I will never veer from him. Whatever he does, I love him, and by God, he's right. Then some people will also attribute this incredible genius to Trump. Trump is a genius. He speaks, he writes, and he plays 4 and 5D chess. Everything he does is deliberately for purposes of negotiating. He'll come in one day and say, "Hey, Bibi, get away," and then he didn't really mean it. Then he tells Tulsi Gabbard, "Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about." And it's all a part of a deliberate ploy to throw off the other side. And then he'll say, "You've got until so-and-so, such and such a day, or else we're going to nuke you." And that's also a part of a genius. I'm thinking, wait a minute. You're just taking whatever he does that nobody can understand, and you're attributing it to this grand Machiavellian genius of his. What I think is the following. I'd like to talk a little bit about Trump the man. Now, remember something. In my country, I like him because I don't have anybody else. He's done a lot of good. Did you know that today he has been in for like 140 something days? He put it this way. He has only served 10% of his term. 10%. 10%. He's not even started. It seems like he's been there for 20 years. We just started this. He's not even, Joe Biden was, let me tell you something. I was talking to some friends of mine in Washington, themselves Democrats, and they told me it is common knowledge that Joe Biden was never there. There was an auto pen, literally a machine. We'll never know what he signed. So I first of all, do not want to go back to that. So if I say something that sounds like I'm being critical of Trump, doesn't mean I'm a member of no party. That being said,
Lionel, even if Trump's intentions are good, as were JFK's, isn't what's happening today showing that there are greater forces than him, the deep state perhaps, driving this war machine forward for the benefit of...
I mean, it could be that's more interesting as opposed to somebody. I'll give you another version, which nobody wants to look at. He changed his mind, which is even what? We love this. You see, we want there to be, look, I know you and I We love this stuff. The deep state, the police state, the intel state, the shadow government, the ruling class, the invisible government, the holdovers. There's this group of people pulling the levers and they're there. And it's part of a Machiavellian story. Or Trump would say, you know what? No, I just changed my mind. Or Trump may, let me give you all the possibilities. I think, and I mean this with all due respect, I think sometimes Trump figures I'm magical. Whatever I do, it's magic because I'm Trump. I'll change my mind. It's negotiating. He'll start off with this. If you and he are doing something, let's say you've got a disagreement with something, he'll start off by suing you. And you'll say, wait a minute, what? Then he backs off. And you'll say, okay, let's immediately he'll throw you off. He doesn't even work into it. He'll start off by suing you, and he'll tell you in the art of the deal, he does this very aggressive. He considers himself, in some respect, a master tactician, absolutely brilliant. However, this is a little different. This has no corollary whatsoever. This is so deep. Let me tell you what somebody told me one time. In Israel, I met a fellow who was in their State Department. He said, let me explain to you. He said, do you know how people work here? Do you know the mentality? Little side story. I was very much against Iraq and Afghanistan after 9/11. I said, it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. And I was here on 9/11. I think I know a little bit about it. I said, it's the most ridiculous thing. PNAC, all these warmongers, they were waiting for this. And if I didn't know better, I think it was staged. But I don't know. That's up for debate. So this fellow looks at me and he says, let me explain something to you. Do you know who we are? He says, we pretend, Arabs and Jews, we're the same. Shalom, salam, the food is the same. We're the same. Same people. We have it's just like Pakistan, Hindu, Indians, the Protestants, the Catholics, the same. From that mentality, you can think you're different all day long. And there's an expression. He said, let me tell you about this. Some Arabs, and Arabs is kind of a generic term. He said there was an expression, he would burn his blanket to kill the fleas. Excess means nothing. From the days of Saladin, he says, do you know what people are thinking after what Bush did regarding Iraq? He said, now that's the America we remember. That's America. You may think it's stupid. We think, damn, good for you. Now we're talking. Now, he said, I don't care whether you appreciate that or not, but understanding what's happening here, people believe, and this is not necessarily Trump, but people believe that Iranians are living in the 4th century. They wear a funny hat. They got a beard. This guy wears a dress. They sit on this. They all look. Remember the Ayatollah Khomeini? It was like he was dead. He said, this charismatic to look in his eyes. When Mike Wallace sat across from him and said, Your Excellency, people think you're crazy. And he looks at him like that. I thought the guy was in a coma. He looked stoned. But they said, this is the most charismatic. And I said, okay, maybe I'm missing something. It's a theocratic, it's a group I don't understand that felt royally screwed by the United States in 1953 when we decided you're not going to pick your Mossadegh dude. We're going to put in the Shah. And we took Kermit Roosevelt and the CIA did Operation Ajax. They never forgot that. 1979 came along. And this is where I get into trouble because I hate to say it. I'm kind of like a Mearsheimer wannabe. I'm a realist. I'll tell you the way it is. In 1979, they said the embassy here is a bunch of spies. It's a CIA outpost. And it was. And they said, no, it's not. How dare you violate the sanctity of the embassy? He goes, it's a CIA. So when they shredded all of this, you remember what they did? When they shredded all of this material, the powers, the Iranian powers, took kids and students and they gave them all this paper. Look, you're not doing anything. And they put it together. They had, I don't know how they did it, but they put them together. And they said, look, and they had the documents as clear as day. This was a spy operation. So instead of us saying, hey, look, we're spies. Okay, we're sorry. What did we say? So what? We can do whatever we want. And we decided to put the Shah in. And that's the best part. The Shah didn't want to go. He wanted to shop in Paris. He said, Pahlavi, I don't want to go back. I had nothing to do with this. You're going to better get your ass there now because you're ours. And who are they going to put back? Whom does Israel want? His son. Do you understand what this is? It's like, I mean, of all people, get somebody else. Don't put him in there. This is how stupid. It's almost like, it's almost like they're saying, you know what? F you. Not only are we going to put in the same dude, we're going to put his son in there. So there's no doubt as to who's in control. Now, let me ask you this, and forgive me if I'm all over the place, but this is my nature. And by the way, that's what you and that's the secret to our charm. Answer me this. I'm Iran. Israel's got a nuclear weapon. Well, they're not supposed to say. Have you ever heard anybody say, does Israel have nukes? Well, I'd rather not talk about that. You just answered the question. It's the most ridiculous thing. So they've got nukes. Everybody's got nukes. Everybody. Georgia, Iran's the only country without nukes. The only one. Now answer me this question. Why can't they have them? Now, stop right there. Answer my question.
Because they can't have them because the deep state needs a pretext for war. So they're using that just like they used it with Saddam Hussein. They were said Saddam Hussein couldn't have weapons of mass destruction. They invented that he was about to have them, just like they're saying Iran's about to have them.
No, but you'll understand. If I was the lawyer for Iran, I don't have a dog in this fight. How come you can have them and I can't? See, whoever has them, it's a great negotiating power. It's the most ridiculous thing in the world. It's like, I'm going to go in to your house and I've got dynamite and grenades. And I'm going to, it's like, well, if you detonate this, we all die. Yeah, but you're going to listen to me and say, you know what? I just may sit there and say, you know what? I got to see this. You know what? You go ahead and detonate it. If you're that stupid, it's the most ridiculous thing in the world. I don't even know what nuclear weapons do. Now, tactical weapons, different story. Tactical, kind of low yield, those Davy Crockett ones you can put in a backpack. You don't think they're out there, recoilless. You know what I mean? They're not. Somebody said something very interesting. You know that with atom bombs versus hydrogen bombs is fusion versus fission, and there's no fallout. So it's just complete and total destruction. So we're talking about something which basically is moot. Annihilation. They're right next to each other. Give it to them. Here, I'll stand next to you. Go ahead, detonate yours, and I'll detonate mine. It's, for all practical purposes, it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. But that seems to be the issue. So their question is, nobody will answer. What's wrong with us? You don't understand, Iran. You said death to America. You said death to America. You can put on Fox News and hear death to Iran all the time. You call us crazy and mullahs and you want to kill us. Excuse me. Pardon me. We're in the United States. We can say whatever we want. Don't you understand the rules? But we just say it. Frankly, pardon my French, it's bullshit. We just say stuff like that. You're going to go to war because somebody said this? Yeah. It's just like here in New York. People were saying, there were some dancing Israelis. So therefore, Israel brought down the towers. Wait a minute. What? Where did you get that from? So let's just start with this. How come they can't nobody can answer the question. They said they can't get it because if they get it, unlike every other country that's got it, Iran's going to go crazy and they're going to detonate and they're going to just basically liquefy Israel, whereupon they will return the favor. So that argument just doesn't make any sense to me. If they say, listen, we don't want a nuclear bomb, it's not worth it. Go ahead and search, send the IAEA. We want nuclear capabilities for peacetime, for energy, for medical diagnosis. That's nonsense. They just say that. They can have nothing. They can have no ability. So now we're saying, if I didn't know better, I just think this is a pretext. You just want these people eliminated. So then we go to the next story. It works like this. You see, Shaun, I'm going to go in and I'm going to decapitate the leadership. And I'm going to say, okay, good news, all of you Persian Iranians. These theocrats are gone. Now you can wear your, you can have pink hair like we do and have the same sex gender and enjoy Western civilization, which we know this is really what you want because you hate your theocratic Persia. And they say, how do you know that? We've been told this all the time. They're waiting. They're ready for the chance to have their own revolution. Well, how do you know? So you're going to put somebody else in there? Yes. Who? Pahlavi, Riza, the son. Oh, that's going to go over well. So they have this idea that you go in and we say, we don't like you. We're going to take you out. We're going to put you in. It's almost like a transplant. There will be no organ rejection. Everything's going to be groovy, and the world will be a better place. It's insane. So here's the best part, cutting to the chase. In the United States, we have, for those wonderful people listening, two basic parties, Democrats, Republicans, Labor, Tories, whatever you want to call it. And it means nothing. It means Democrats are so gone after 4 years. I don't know what they're about. They're for immigration, maybe, but I don't know. They're for all practical purposes a nullity. Now, Republicans, different story. Republicans came along and we have the old classic paleo-conservative, Ronald Reagan, William F. Buckley, Pat Buchanan, non-interventionist, low taxes, keep to yourself. You know what Reagan did after the Beirut bombing? Get the hell out of there. Reagan was obsessed with stopping nuclear proliferation. That's all he talked about. That and UFOs, which is another story. That didn't work. Enter neocons. Right around PNAC, this is the Bill Kristol. These were lapsed Trotskyites. These were folks who were actually fallen liberals. They're the ones, their only beef with Vietnam was that we didn't finish the job. Whenever you hear anything, neoliberal, neoconservative, neo inverts it. So a neoconservative is really a kind of a liberal who's crazy. This guy, Kissinger, and you mentioned Brzezinski and others, they're into another world. This is Machiavellian world chess. They did you ever play Risk when you were a kid? They're Risk. Yeah. That's what they are. They see the world as their plaything, and they don't have any dog in the fight, no ideological purpose. They just want control and domination. They're the evil. They're like the mini-me or whatever it is. They loved it. Brzezinski had I don't want to say this, a particular penchant against Russia. Why? He was the Polish prince. He was the one who gave you Afghanistan. He wanted to remember the empire, this guy. This might be the closest thing to what you call evil. This is Meager Brzezinski's father. And this is a guy who brought you the Afghanistan war because he thought through attrition, he says, quote, we're going to bring Russia their Vietnam. That's exactly what he did. And he loved it. Charlie Wilson's war armed the Mujahideen, the Northern Alliance, give them all these weapons and they go, ha, ha, ha. Now you say, well, wait a minute. You've just empowered these people. That's another thing these idiots do. They create horrible people, so to speak, and empower them to go after an enemy. And then they say, well, what do we do now with this? Remember the whole notion of Hamas is. Hamas was created by Israel, 2005, to counter Fatah and Arafat. Arafat was basically this kind of like this secular whatever. Let's bring in Hamas. What could go wrong? Let's fuel them. It's the damnedest thing I've never heard of. They do this all the time. It's like creating a bug in the biosphere, like the neutered mosquito that somehow is going to stop. And then you've got neutered mosquitoes swarming. It's like you never think about the bottom. Anyway, so it comes down to simply this. You've got now people like Tucker Carlson. All of a sudden you have this balance. It's like, watch this. These like these polls. All of a sudden, this guy's up, this guy's up. By virtue of what we're doing right now, we create new forces, new contingents out of nowhere. Tucker Carlson was this kind of a goofy guy with a bow tie. And he was really kind of, he kind of wanted his respect. They booted him out of Fox because he, I don't know what it was. Who knows? You can argue all day long, whether it's because of any kind of lawsuits about, electioneering. I don't know. That hurt him big time. It stunned him. He was the number one person. So he says, I'm going to reinvent myself. And all of a sudden people said, I love him. They said, he is great. You know what he is? Alex Jones light. Alex Jones is the number one, still hardcore. He's the George Jones, Lefty Frizzell, hardcore, gut bucket, OG, whatever this is. Not left, not right, Constitution, anti-globalist, anti-surveillance, pro-privacy. He's it. And it's a matter of how close are you to Alex Jones? Are you 80% Alex, 90% Alex? What people are saying right now that everybody's in love with is what Alex Jones is saying. Everything. So here comes Tucker. First of all, he's incredibly popular, along with Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's too busy having fun and stuff, but if Joe Rogan ever gets serious, he could rule the world. And all of a sudden, he sits down, and probably the most important moment ever is what's being leaked regarding him and Ted Cruz. You saw this, right? This little brief interchange between Tucker and Ted Cruz is so brutal. Tucker's thinking, I can't believe this guy's falling in. This brilliant Harvard law educated, brilliant senator, I'm tying in knots. He doesn't know anything about Iran. And he's basically making the point. It's incredible. Now, what happens is, with what we do, if somebody farts or throws up in a punch bowl or shows up to a party drunk, in 20 minutes, it's viral. It's like the difference between smoking a joint and injecting drugs. When that hits your bloodstream, boom! That's what this is. All of a sudden, MAGA is thinking, oh my God. Then you've got people who say, should we continue this? Charlie Kirk. We can laugh all day long, but they have a significant group of people. Charlie Kirk saying, I'm going over here. Ben Shapiro, the classic prototypical, and I'm only using this as for shorthand purposes. We used to say, America, love it or leave it. This is Israel, love it or leave it. This contingent, they're not a part of this group, not the young folks, not the young, I don't say the young Turks, but people right now who came to the party, who liked Trump, who said, I like this guy. He's against forever wars. He seems to be very meat and potatoes. He's a populist. Steve Bannon, one of the best tutorials. Listen to Steve Bannon, and I'm no Steve Bannon fan per se. It's one of the best tutorials ever of where we are today because the rules just changed overnight. So remember, everything is different now. Everything. So what's going to happen is, as we speak, I keep hearing Tehran is dark. Tehran, by the way, has about 10 million people, bigger than New York City. And the president told Tehran, I'd get out of there if I were you. How can you say that? This isn't the Trump that I know. Why would you say that? These are good people. They're freaking out. They have traffic. They're saying, help me. What's going on here? And there's gas stations or petrol, whatever. They don't know what to do. Where do we go? Iran has about 900 million people in it, roughly. It's about, it's the size of, 94, pardon me. About 94 million people. It's the size of Western Europe. It's the size of the Eastern Seaboard. Israel's the state of New Jersey. There are more people in New York, maybe than in the city of the state of Israel. The proportions are so incredible. People think that that Iran can't fight back. Iron Dome is, we always heard these stories, Iron Dome. This, and we're talking, and Trump was talking about doing Iron Dome here. Well, whoever's selling the Iron Dome franchise better be paying attention here. Scott Ritter said something interesting. Scott Ritter is very interesting. You got to know where to go for certain things. He's a Marine. He's into warfare. He's good. Colonel McGregor, the best. Jeffrey Sachs, Mearsheimer, fantastic. What Ritter says is you send in a few just to see the reaction time, how they hit, how many missiles do they need to take down one of ours. He says, so the first salvo is almost like an experimental. Let's see what you've got. They're not done yet. People are forgetting Hezbollah. This is serious business. We have this idea where we create the fact that they live in the Flintstones, that they have old rifles and they're on camels and they don't, not at all. And not at all. And the propinquity, the nearness of these people, a ballistic missile may not be much to us, but if I'm next door to you, it's the most impressive. And also it does something to affect your will to fight. That's what terrorism is. So we ain't seen nothing yet. So the bottom line is simply this. We haven't seen anything. I mean, this is fights on. And once you go past this, you also have, maybe you've seen this as well. Shaun, if you told me that one day I would be agreeing with Greta Thunberg, I'd have thought you're out of your mind. She's making so much sense right now. There are people who I've never particularly cared for in terms of their politics because I thought they were frankly crazy. They're making more sense than you can imagine. Because when it comes to this, junk yogurt, as I call it, couldn't lure me out of a burning building, the young turds or whatever they call it. He's making sense. I can't believe what I'm saying. Even Piers Morgan, your buddy, finally admitted maybe this Gaza thing isn't what I thought it was, because he just, put it this way, he makes Geraldo Rivera look like Ed Whitten. This guy just, he'll do whatever he can just to stay alive. He's a puppet. He's a jadrul, as we say in New York. Piers Morgan is just nothing. But even he has to say, no, wait a minute. Now he's all of a sudden figured out what's going on. Now he realizes. And we also have people, too, who are being very quiet. Bobby Kennedy, he's backing out of here. I'm getting out of here. Come on, Bobby, join. Which side are you on? Once it becomes politically disadvantageous to be aligned with a cause, whatever it is, you're going to see people jump ship no matter what. Meanwhile, Trump's stuck. Let's go back to what I think about him also. As you know, you always have to learn a little bit about what makes the person tick. What is it? I've heard it. Remember, I got my 2020 mug because he had it stolen. That's a different story. Trump is a guy that has been through more hell than you can imagine. And he loves to come back. This is the scenario. He loves it. You can't get rid of him. I think something really happened to him when they tried to kill him. You will never know it. You cannot walk away from that as a human being to hear that noise. And it goes like that. And then to have people laugh. To have people say, you were faking that. You didn't mean that. And for him, I would have soiled myself. I would have grabbed everybody. I would have cowered. I would have been like a little baby. He gets up, stands in front of what, because you think, is this Hollywood? Tom Cruise would have never thought of this. He stands in front of the world with his fist up and says, basically, is that all you've got? Is that your best shot? I mean, this man's he's not real. He has a sense of, not only am I tougher than you, I fight like nobody else. I like this. And I'm invincible. And then there was some things that Mike Huckabee sent him and others who play on this. I would, if I had to persuade or cajole President Trump, I would say, make sure you bring up Providence, God, evil, and throw in the fact that, Bibi said this, they tried to kill you. Remember that? Remember what really pissed off George W. Bush? Not her, when they said they tried to kill your father. Remember that? They had a picture of George W. Bush, the father, Herbert Walker, that the Iraqis were walking over. If you don't think that has anything to do, a guy from Texas, a guy with the swagger and everything. So put all of this into account. You basically have a president who sometimes changes his mind, sometimes tactically. And let me just also say, I'm not there, and we can lend all of our expertise all we want. We don't know anything. Like sometimes it's like standing outside of a stadium and listening to the crowd and trying to guess the score. You don't know anything. You think you do, but you may watch the same shows that tend to reflect what you think. Most people do not watch people they disagree with. So I listen to everybody because I triangulate. I have to hear what the enemy is saying. Now, I told you before, I'm listening to people I've never, ever listened to. But now I'm saying, you make sense here. And believe it or not, Shaun, there's going to be a reorganization in terms of the streaming world that we live in. It's not going to be the same. This left-right world, the Ben Shapiro versus the Charlie Kirk versus this. And you've got Tuckers over here and people who are like, I call it lowercase MAGA. It's like, I'm still with you, but I'm not. I'm with you, but this might be that. And when you have Russia, China, Turkey, people who, I don't have to tell you something, theirs is a mentality I don't know if Trump has ever met before. This is thousands of years of a level of not sophistication, but Byzantine ninja, Praetorian Guard, cloak and dagger. I mean, hardcore. This goes back to, like I did, Saladin and, Mao and forget it. Peter
all right, Lionel, speaking of all those countries then, Brzezinski said the biggest threat to U.S. hegemony was an alliance between China, Russia, and Iran. Mm-hmm. So what about the theory that regime change in Iran is it's always been on an agenda to prevent that alliance, which we are seeing forming through BRICS?
Now, with all due respect, I would say that's Brzezinski. That's through his lens. Brzezinski didn't necessarily agree with Kissinger. Kissinger has his version of this. We have a new world today. We have a new world where where I hate to tell you, but it's not going to be who's in charge of oil. It's who's in charge of Silicon Valley. AI is going to change everything. AI is changing. Nobody can even understand what that is. You're going to see warfare change. All of a sudden, how many times in recent days have you heard the name Palantir? How many times? Palantir is, remember Halliburton?
Oh,
Halliburton was the most evil company anybody's ever. Halliburton, son of a bitch, Halliburton. Nobody knew what Halliburton was, but it was synonymous with. That's why Palantir. And you get Whitney Webb, Palantir, Peter Thiel, and then you have Elon Musk. Where'd he go? What happened to him? Did he and Trump have some type of a falling out, or was that orchestrated? Is this professional wrestling? Is this a work? So put it this way. If I brought Brzezinski back now, he would say, who are these people? The world he knew, some of it, a lot of it's correct, but it's a completely different world. You've got right now people standing up who are talking about targeting human beings based on computer logistics, what websites you liked, the weather. I mean, let me just tell you something. The only thing that frightens me absolutely is AI. This is the
if anything will destroy humankind, it's that, without a doubt. And I don't want to go into a whole other thing about that, but we don't know what it is. We are creating, remember, recursive self-improvement. We are creating an 800-pound gorilla with a 900 IQ. And the first thing it does is it separates your ability to control it immediately. So, and it turns off your ability to turn it off. It's another story. So one day, just imagine this. All of a sudden, Trump says, okay, let's move in. Tehran says, okay, we're ready. And all of a sudden, so what happened? Power shut off. Nothing's worked. Imagine a bot, some AI, AGI bot with a different sense of alignment, that's the word, decides this isn't good for humanity, and actually has some good, and it shuts everything down. It knows how to go in, use ham-fisted, full-throated, basically breaking into, and I'm not going to bring up quantum computing and all that jazz, because remember something, whenever you hear something, it's 5 years old. Whenever something makes the news, it's 5 years old. It's already out there. So we haven't seen this yet. We haven't seen this. And what happens when we get done with this? And then one day, and I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Guaranteed. I don't know when, but I think I know Trump. Trump's going to finally turn around to Bibi Netanyahu and say, you know what, Bibi? Not for nothing, my friend. Nothing personal, but that's enough. We have this, we have to say goodbye. This is not worth our time. I have squandered more of my political capital. We have destroyed the world. For what exactly? If I said, Mr. President, what are you doing this for? Tell me what you're doing this for. And people are asking the question, why are you giving 2,000-pound bombs to destroy Gaza? Why? I think he'd say, and Trump's the kind of person who one day could wake up and say, you know what? That's a good point. I'm done with that. And that's what he does. He's just done. Doesn't make any sense. Maybe at first I thought it did, but I think politically I understand now. Little by little, you're seeing people, you're seeing Hollywood reach out to right wing. Javier Bardem was on The View the other day talking about Gaza. They had to shut him down. This is a liberal ABC network who basically agrees with him, but they're being told, why are we shutting him down? Left and right doesn't mean anything anymore. Remember, we're saying left and right, Europe, the EU. I haven't even brought up Putin yet. He's just sitting back and Putin saying, remember me? Zelensky's talking about, well, what about me? I'm not going anywhere. Putin just sat back and he said, I got all the time in the world. What do I care about? I'm just going to sanction me, sanction this. I don't care. Putin is really, if ever there was a guy that you should pattern your public persona after, he and Lavrov, there's nothing like it. They don't get upset. Marco Rubio gets upset. This one gets upset. When Lavrov, he goes on TV, he's very cool. It's kind of a European, old school. Another thing Trump does, and remember, I love the guy, but I'm telling you what I've been saying. Trump loves pretty people. Trump loves the cool guys. Trump loves stars. He likes Pete Hegseth. Why? He was on Fox. Made him the Secretary of Defense. He likes Kash Patel. By the way, Kash Patel always looks frightened. Those eyes are scared, always frightened. Kash Patel, why? He's a media. Dan Bongino, Fox News, media. Pam Bondi, media. Kristi Noem, the Barbie, DHS, media. Alina Habba, his girl, from the media. These women showed up looking like Barbie with hair extensions and a $60,000 Rolex on an ICE raid. I mean, who were these people? Marco Rubio, Secretary of State? Are you kidding me? Who basically stopped somebody in the hallway of Congress and said, let me tell you something. He basically said, we are Israel. And I thought, whoa, wait a minute. I don't care if you say, we are not Israel. We are not NATO. We are not Ukraine. We are not Great Britain. We're America. This This is the part which I don't understand. But we know, your viewers do, your family does, the people who watch you, they know exactly. And let me also tell you something. We may not look like much, Shawnee. We may look like just a couple of regular folks, but we are not the future. We are it. And I mean we, our position. Because you know what you are, and everybody watching? Common sense. You're not a doctrinaire. You're not a slave to any particular way of thinking. It's got to make sense to you. And if it happens to be considered right wing, okay. If it happens to be left, okay. So many things have made people realize your sovereignty, your beautiful, wonderful country, we love the UK. We love Great Britain. We love England. We've loved you since the Beatles. We love you. We've always separated by a common language. You know that old joke? And we're seeing what's happening to what Keir Starmer's doing. I'm thinking, this can't be. And you know what we're saying? If you let it happen, we're next. You're our example. We don't want to go the way of London. I saw something the other day that I couldn't believe. The number of British mayors who are Muslim. Now, it doesn't matter. You can be anything you want, but wait a minute. This is a little bit more. This is a way of, this is different here. How did that happen? The world is changing. There are people who are now coming left and right, meaning saying, this isn't right. Because what you're doing is you've got to ask yourself, what are we about? What's our tradition? What's our authenticity? So everybody right now, for the first time, is asking themselves, what are we doing? Now, look at this guy. What are we doing? How did this happen? We just went after 4 years of biomedical tyranny, or more than that, I should say. We lost our minds. We all changed. We really changed. You know, it's funny. I'm sure you've met people, maybe in your grandparents or people who went through World War II. They're old now, but they remember huddling in the tube and realizing what it's like. All the rockers post-World War II, they say, why are the rockers so skinny? Because they were malnourished post-World War II. A lot of these people, they remember this. Peter O'Toole talks about his fear of Hitler, or talked about kids who, the Stones. Anyway, that was indelibly burned into their psyche. Look what we're doing right now. Where do you think the word, if I did a word association, Israel 5 years from now, what do you think people are going to say? Up till now, it's been kind of a live and let live, and we understand your plight. They've done irreparable harm. I don't know if anybody can really change this, because people looked at Gaza and they're saying, this is unconscionable. Because for the first time, we see everything. We see everything as it happens. And no matter what they try to do, no matter how they try to shut it down and shadow ban it and deplatform, it doesn't work. I mean, we are a different species. The world we're connected. We never were. We're finding out, you know what? We're not that different. That's the scariest thing, because people like Brzezinski and others, if they want hegemony, they also want the idea of, they want homogeneity, and heterogeneity scares them. Mixing. We don't want you to know what other people are doing. Do you ever ask somebody a question? Why are we fighting again? I'm going to say something. You're going to laugh when I tell you this. One of the biggest things that has done more to celebrate peace have been food blogs, where people go to different cultures and they say that Mark Wiens and others go, here I am in Pakistan, here I am whatever, here I am in Tehran, we're eating rice. And you realize these people they're just like us. You think I'm kidding. TV changed everything. When all of a sudden we said, I didn't know that's the way. The first time we saw British TV, British comedy, the first time that British rock stars heard American blues, thanks to Armed Services Radio. Little things like that cause an explosion. It's the catalyst. It's this impetus. The world has never changed. Bibi Netanyahu and President Trump don't know what year it is. They really don't. President Trump said the other day that he thinks Tucker Carlson is jealous, that Tucker is jealous because he doesn't have a TV network or something. I'm thinking, my God, more people watch Tucker than all of the shows on Fox News combined, multiplied. He doesn't understand it. He doesn't get it. Really, seriously. So you better, if you believe in a God, you better pray something stops. I hope that the following happens. An emergency envoy, whatever is called, occurs. All hostilities there's a cessation. Somebody meets with Iran. We have to talk. Whoever flies, there's something, not the UN, and not somebody aligned with a pro kind of an Israel, or US or right wing. But this is what I'm hoping for, where there's a cessation, there is a halt, and then tragedy is averted, and it just kind of goes away. Everybody claims victory, and we just move on. Because let me tell you something. I want you to think with this. I want to leave you with this. One day, I don't know when it's going to be, but you're going to wake up, or maybe during the day, and they'll say breaking news. And that word, which doesn't mean anything, but they'll say breaking news, and we really mean it. You will read the following, that a nuclear device, it's not really a bomb. Bomb implies you're dropping it, but a nuclear device was detonated. Casualty figures have been unconfirmed, but we have confirmed, and they'll have a map, and they'll show you the map, but you'll see it. The thing you've been fearing your whole life, because we weren't around during Hiroshima and Nagasaki. You'll hear it. We don't, and people will say, who was it? Was it this one? Was it false flag? Was it Israel? Was it US? Was it Pakistan? Who knows? But all bets are off, and there will be a sense of terror. And watch what happens, because everything we can live with, skirmishes, battle carrier groups, terrorism, ballistic missiles. But the first time you hear that word nuclear, or nuclear, as people say here, the first time you see that, it's going to change everything. It's going to freak you out. And people who see this, and I'm going to say this, there are people, as you know, who believe in eschatological references, the end of times. They will get crazily biblical, and they'll say, this is the word of God. I know this sounds crazy, but I'm not. I know what I'm talking about. This is what we have been waiting for. This is, by the way, this headline has been there for the past 25 years. It's now the closest ever. Yes, we know. It's 11:59 and 50 seconds. Yes, we know that. But when that happens, it's different. It's done. You're going to see people are going to freak out. And there's one thing which is good. We really don't freak out. Have you talked to young people? The thing that they fear more than anything else from watching TV and watching is the notion of a nuke. They don't know what that is. They don't know where it is, how it works. Is it tactical, strategic? What's the yield? Where is it? We had a nuke in the 50s. I think it was a Davy Crockett. It was a recoilless rifle, and it was a small, but it gave you a nice little cloud. And just the thought of it. And once it happens, you know Nancy Jacobson, right? Once it starts, once somebody gets the wrong idea, Shaun, I live right near Newark Airport in New Jersey. We had all of a sudden, for some reason, air traffic controller monitors go down for 30 seconds, 60 seconds in series. That's just nothing compared to if somebody somewhere says, I don't want to bring Nina, but this is it, boys. This is war. 99 Luft balloons. This is it. And if somebody gets the wrong impression, somebody overreacts, somebody doesn't get the words right, somebody confuses a tactical nuclear weapon with Hiroshima, mushroom cloud, fat man, and little boy. This is no kidding, because I know we live in a world of hyperbole. This is the worst. This is unconscionable. This is what we have avoided since 44, 45. Think about this. This is for 80 years. We've avoided this. And it takes one little mistake, one disinformation, one AI blunder, something. So that's why President Trump and everybody has to say, that's enough. That's enough. We will sit down. We can't. It's like if you and I are drunk and we're shaking and somebody hands us 2 loaded weapons and we're standing. It's like, what could go wrong accidentally? It's like nothing we can imagine. Nothing. And you look at that beautiful son of yours and you think his future, what kind of a world does he live in? You know, we just had a relative in the family. They said, this is terrible. Oh, guess what? We're expecting. And I looked at my wife and I said, now this is terrible. Of course, we're happy for them. But I thought, oh no. Oh no. What is it going to be like? Your son probably will never have natural food. Your son will be baked and soaked and imbued and saturated in 5G and Wi-Fi. Your son will be your son will see things and know things by the time he's 10 years old that no generation has ever seen. And I hope to God he makes it. And that's just information. Throw into the mix the actual specter of nuclear conflagration, annihilation, Holocaust, destruction, and it takes one little. You don't have to nuke the whole world.
Have you watched the movie The Road? Cormac McCarthy?
Mm-hmm.
With the father and the son. Very moving.
Well, with that, my friend, let us hope. We let cooler heads prevail. Something tells me, though, that when it comes to President Trump, there is that bottom line, practical part of him that will kick in. I truly believe this. I'm afraid that they always say the last person that talks to him in the room is the one we got to get to. What are they telling him? Did you hear the other day when he said, I don't know what's going on with Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin's acting crazy. And Putin said, you tried to kill me, trying to blow my helicopter. And Trump said, oh, I didn't know that. And Marco Rubio, his secretary, said, oh, I didn't know that. I said, you didn't know that? You didn't know that? I said, what information are you getting? I mean, so with that, my friend, let us hope for the best.
Thank you for joining us. So eloquent and balanced reporting as usual. All of Lionel's links are in the live chat, are in the description box. I shall let you go and close the show. Hope to see you soon. Cheerio.
Thank you, all the best.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Right, viewers, there's all of Lionel's links in the live chat as well. Put a 1 in the chat if you are optimistic that the situation is going to de-escalate from here. Put a 2 in the chat if you are pessimistic. We are on the path to going higher up the escalation ladder, not necessarily to full-on nuclear war, but heading in that direction. Please let me know. We've got a few optimists coming in, a few pessimists coming in. I think it's going to escalate. Not necessarily to all-out world nuclear war, but it's going to escalate to closer to that. Lots of 2s coming in. All right, so I did a live stream earlier today with my own theories. We've got a World War III playlist now. If you want to watch the playlist, we had Scott Ritter, Captain Matthew Ho, etc. Andre, a lot of guys on over the last year. We're getting them all back, folks. Starting with Dmitry Orlov Part 2 tomorrow, 11 a.m. UK. Then we've got a Survivor coming on at 4 p.m. UK. Ron's got Royal Mess back in the evening. Then the following day, June the 20th, we've got Andrei Martinov coming back for the 3rd time, I believe. Also on the 20th, we've got retired Colonel Larry Wilkerson, former Chief of Staff to Secretary of State Colin Powell. And on the 21st, we've got Ray McGovern. Can't wait to speak to Ray. So we're going full throttle on World War III coverage, guys, with people who are steeped with knowledge and experience. Starting tomorrow, 11 a.m. Hope to see some of you there. Have a good evening. And if you missed the stream with ex-London cop John Wedger, when I end this, it will take you over to it.